When history classes teach us about Abraham Lincoln, they usually cover the basics. He was a lawyer, statesman, 16th President of the United States, signed the Emancipation Proclamation, led the Union through the Civil War, and was assassinated at Ford's Theater in D.C. in 1865. And while that's a pretty good overview of one of the most important people in U.S. history, we don't ever really get to learn much about what Lincoln was like outside of his national duties, such as what he liked to eat. According to Susie Evans, a lawyer, literary agent, author, and historian, Lincoln often simply forgot to eat. Evans writes of Lincoln's eating habits on her blog. Not prone to eating breakfast every day, it has been said that he had an egg and biscuit only occasionally. Lunch was often only an apple with a glass of milk, and dinner could be entirely forgotten unless a tray of food was forced on him. According to historian Susie Evans' blog post, Lincoln never lost a boyhood taste for Kentucky corn cakes, gooseberry cobbler, gingerbread cookies, and corn dodgers. From his list of favorites, you get the picture that Lincoln's appetite wasn't huge and was very specific. Most of these items tend to be desserts or snacks, appetizers at best. However, if there was one entree he couldn't get enough of, it was chicken fricassee. According to a Treasury of White House Cooking by Francois Rossavi, Lincoln liked the chicken cut up in small pieces, fried with seasonings of nutmeg and mace, and served with a gravy made of the chicken drippings. So even when he indulged in something more substantial than nibbles, Lincoln preferred to fill himself on hearty, simple, home-cooked meals. The attitude Abraham Lincoln took toward food seems less absent-minded than restrained in general. Lincoln's friend and fellow state representative Joe Gillespie, as shared by O'Shaughnessy's, once said, "He was a remarkably temperate man. Lincoln eschewed every indulgence, not so much as it seemed to me from principle as from a want of appetites." In truth, Lincoln's preference for simpler foods was likely reflective of frontier conditions at the time. Presiding over a country literally torn in half by a civil war would also probably affect one's appetite. In an account provided to Lincoln Cottage by Ray Catherine Amy, author of Abraham Lincoln in the Kitchen, a culinary view of Lincoln's life and times, it's said that Mary Todd Lincoln even asked the White House chef whether they could prepare some old-fashioned chicken fricassee in an attempt to divert the president from his work so he could sit down for a good meal that he enjoyed. This was part of a general strategy she employed that also included inviting various guests for supper so that Abraham Lincoln would have to emerge from his office to play the host. The fricassee gambit failed, and as Amy suggests, the increasingly gaunt look Abraham Lincoln developed during the course of the war could have been exacerbated by his indifferent eating habits.